PN03. The zero is silent. Seriously, don't say the zero. It's like calling a pterodactyl a pterodactyl. What, are you going to call it a pterodactyl?
After the fourth generation, Nintendo gradually started to lose relations with third-party developers. Because of this, Nintendo's internal developers and their close associates had to do most of the heavy lifting during the Nintendo 64 era. Major publishers such as Konami, Square, and Capcom jumped ship from Nintendo to the PlayStation family. This was because of office politics and changes in technology.
During the fifth generation of video games, there was a major push towards 3D graphics, Red Book audio, and fully voiced cutscenes.
Big Boss's dream.
There was also a push to move from cartridges to discs. Discs are cheaper to manufacture than cartridges and allow for more content.
When the fifth generation came to a close, Nintendo sought to use their then upcoming console to restore confidence in outside developers.
During this time, Capcom had a deal with Nintendo to publish 5 games exclusively for the Nintendo Gamecube: Killer 7, Beautiful Joe, Resident Evil 4, PN03, and Dead Phoenix. I would like to know what that game's about. That title intrigues me because phoenixes should never die. They're supposed to be reborn.
It can't control it! Phoenix rises!
Maybe the developer just didn't understand the concept of a phoenix. Or maybe I'm supposed to play the game to find that out if the game exists. No? Doesn't exist? Huh. As so it happens, the Capcom 5 was more like the Capcom 4. You see, Dead Phoenix never saw the light of day, and of the 4 remaining games, only PN3 remained a GameCube exclusive. Kind of fitting how Dead Phoenix died in development.
Directed by Shinji Mikami, father of Resident Evil, PN3 had a problematic development. It didn't have the highest budget, it was made fairly quickly, the direction of the game changed in development. That title, that awful, vague, confusing title, that stands for product number 3. They used the game's codename because a title couldn't be agreed upon.
Our protagonist is Vanessa. She is an intergalactic bounty hunter who has a grudge against robots because they killed her family. Vanessa is hired by a mysterious client known only as the Client. Couldn't have thought of a better name there? Anyway, the client wants her to take care of an incident involving robots going haywire on a colony planet. And there are a lot of robots in this game, so...
The best way I can describe PN3 is as some kind of anti-third-person shooter with some Devil May Cry-inspired dodge mechanics. Vanessa has a basic laser shot for her default attack, and special attacks called energy drives. You always face forward. You can't move and shoot at the same time. Now, where have we seen that before? Yeah, that's right. This game was made on what would later become the Resident Evil 4 engine. Though you'll be giving your thumb a workout by doing some twitch motions, PN3 is more about dodging than shooting. You get bonus points if you clear sections without taking a hit.
Besides the basic laser shot, Vanessa has special attacks in the form of energy drives.
By doing quarter circle and charge motions on the GameCube D-pad, you can activate the energy drives. The energy drives themselves are a good idea, but this doesn't work very well. You can't really do Street Fighter style inputs on this thing. Hadouken, Shoryuken, Sonic Boom just don't work. It's not a very dexterous D-pad.
I like how the GameCube controller on the menu is black. You know what they say, black is always best.
There are a few segments in PN3 that require precise jumps. These are far and few between, which is good because PN3 doesn't do precision jumps very well. The jump animation is awkward. It's good for covering distance, but that's really about it. The side dodges, however, are great. There's a lot of focus on dodging in PN3. You can't complete the game if you don't dodge because there's not much cover. What little cover exists is likely to be quickly destroyed.
PN3 has some tight-ass tunes. They're good for booty shaking.
Well, you know, Sam, speaking of the soundtrack, some of the music was reused verbatim in Resident Evil 4. Between stages, you can use the points you rack up from defeating robots to get items and suits. The suits all have their own individual energy drives, strengths, and weaknesses. Some are offensive, some are defensive, some are jack of all trades. In my opinion, you shouldn't bother with the defensive suits. These have lower damage output, and that doesn't really fly in a fast-paced action game. Training missions are a diversion you can do between missions. In these randomly generated stages, you go through 15 different rooms and defeat robots until you either die or find one of the many exits. Because you can't replay stages, and most stages barely have any enemies, these are a good way to grind for points. Unfortunately, it can get a little bit monotonous after a while. One of the biggest issues that I have with the level design is that visually the environments look very similar. There's a lot of white and gray and gray and white and white and gray. It all blends together like a melted ice cream sundae. This becomes disorienting if a level requires backtracking.
Hey guys, Sam here. I don't know much about PN03, but I know a lot about the Hulk. Specifically, Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Graphically, they look very similar with their menus and character models.
The game's narrative eventually goes from bare bones to flat out ridiculous. Now, I was debating whether I wanted to spoil this game or not, and then I was like, the hell with it. Nobody's played this game, nobody cares about this game, I'm not doing any damage. So Vanessa goes into the heart of the facility, and she finds out that it's a cloning facility. She's a clone. She's a clone of the client. It's one of those twists that exist for the sake of having a twist.
She is identical. Wait, is she a clone of myself? Or am I a clone of her?
The reason why most people haven't heard of PN03 is because it was a commercial failure. Even with a special sunglasses giveaway from Nintendo Power, it received mediocre reviews from most game journalists and had an abysmal shelf life. Promotional sunglasses giveaway no longer available. A few outlets accused the game of being sexist because of Vanessa's booty shaking and gyrations.
Booty shake, booty shake, booty shake.
Gyrations. Well, according to the back of the cover, there's danger around every curve. Yeah, that's subtle.
Well, they're just saying that she uses her body to dodge attacks. I don't see how it's sexist.
To even call PN3 a cult title would be a stretch. It just faded into obscurity. The game is ignored. It's not hated enough to be hated, but there's not enough people willing to defend it. Shinji Mikami would later say that he was somewhat disappointed by the game and would consider Vanquish to be redeeming this game's supposed follies.
Vanquish.
I don't love PN3, but I like it. Due to the limited circulation, it might be a little bit hard to find a copy, but it shouldn't be terribly expensive because nobody wants to buy it. If you're a Gamecube collector, you like Shinji Mikami's work, or you want to see an interesting take on the 3D action genre, you might find it worth your time to track down a copy of PN3. Just be prepared for repetitive environments and a lot of grinding.
How can it be sexist? Isn't she a robot or something?
No.
It's not?
No.
Huh. Well, how does she wear all those suits and stuff?
A wizard did it.
Oh, okay.